If I had to sum up today's entire video in a single word, it would be inspiring. We're living in very divisive times right now. There was just a huge debate about it, and it's obvious that when it comes to America or even the world, there's only one question on everybody's mind. Are you a Joe Rogan fan? Now, I know the Rogan issue can be quite polarizing. On the one hand, you have his millions and millions of podcast followers who listen to his every word. On the other, you have me, I guess. Other people who are maybe not the biggest fan. There's dozens of us. But today, I would like to posit a different Joe Rogan question that I believe is underrated. Is Joe Rogan funny? And to find the answer, we're going to take a look at his latest Netflix special, and we'll see if at the end of the day, he lives up to the hype or he's just some guy with a mic. But first, welcome. My name is D'Angelo, and I am your professor of comedic autopsies, which is a very real degree that I definitely do have. Or maybe this is just me broadcasting myself talking in my room like YouTube used to be. And in today's lecture, we're going to be watching Burn the Boats, which is Joe Rogan's new Netflix special. And because I can already hear the Joe Rogan fans saying, you're biased, yes. Now what? I am painfully aware that comedy gets less funny the more it's dissected, but that pain is nothing compared to me just trying to watch this comedy special on my own. And I really do find it inspiring because if Netflix execs watched that whole special and then still tagged it as comedy, truly any of us can be anything we want to be.
And now, live from San Antonio.
Nope, see, we already have beef. Why did you do this in my hometown? Get out. Now I know how people feel when they're like, oh, the Californians are coming to Texas. Get the Joe Rogan fans out of here. He doesn't even go here.
This is my new home state. I've been living here for 4 years. I'm never moving.
Did you not hear the part where I said to move?
Texas weed is different because Texas weed is grown on Texas soil.
I swear to God, I'm going to try to give this an honest shot. I find the city-specific pandering that stand-up comics do to be so funny. Like, you guys, you're my favorite city. And everyone just loses their mind. But you could say literally anything there. Like, the dogs are cuter. The coffee tastes better.
And I believe this soil has memories. Because if you smoke too much Texas weed, you're like, we got to give this land back.
I get it. Colonization is probably funnier when you're not passively thinking about it all the time already and seeing its effects literally everywhere. But you know, haha, weed.
I heard that every Buc-ee's is built on an Indian burial ground. That might be misinformation. Don't say you heard it from me because I am known for that.
Actually, I'm kind of glad he brought up the misinfo thing because the man is just a menace with a mic in terms of the absolute nonsense he has given a foothold. So to joke about it here is like, bro, is it really just a talking point in a stand-up comedy special? Is it not something you feel even a little bit responsible for?
Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon.
One of the main sources of misinformation that he's known for spreading is COVID conspiracies. Like, how do you have a Rogan has made controversial comments about COVID-19 vaccines tag on your Wikipedia? You're out here with what I think is one of the biggest podcasts on the internet, talking about how young, healthy people do not need to be vaccinated. You were taking ivermectin to treat yourself when you got COVID. Inviting people who are promoting vaccine misinformation. See why it's like physically impossible for me to sit here and laugh at this? It doesn't hit. You know what I mean? It's mid. And dear God, maybe I would have more tolerance if the jokes themselves are actually funny. So like as an example, or I guess proof rather, that these people will literally laugh at anything. Here is Rogan doing this very extensive bit about being at an airport while high. And he's just describing things. Like he's just saying what happens when you go through an airport, right?
Walk up here. Give me a ticket. Sit down. Don't lean back. I won't.
Genuinely, I think this goes on for like a minute or two.
You literally strap yourself into your chair and every now and then they come by with water. You're like, oh, oh.
It's like, yep, that is certainly how airplanes work. Observational comedy, I suppose. So I've skipped forward several minutes and we are still talking about airports. And he's talking about how sometimes the TSA agents will randomly pat you down and they'll call someone over who's the same gender.
She goes, good. Male assist. And I'm like, male assist? Did you just assume my gender?
We're doing did you just assume my gender jokes in 2024. My character development is so funny because I used to laugh at these jokes. And then fast forward a few years and now I am the one whose gender gets assumed incorrectly sometimes. Like, I thought you were a woman. You're always serving so hard in your video thumbnails. And I'm like, no, this is just a screenshot from the video. And then you get people on the other side who try to get ahead of it. And they're like, you're a man. You'll always be a man. And I'm like, oh, got me there. I am. Always have been. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, if we want to argue technicalities, I'm not a man. I am the man. Like, I am literally him. I'm just pretty. You know, that's all there really is to it. And yet you would never catch me making a did you just assume my gender joke. It's just not funny. Not now, not then when I thought it was funny. Never has been. And if this is what's passing for comedy in 2024, I want a Netflix refund.
Did you just assume my gender?
And we're applauding it, no less. Bro, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, to be honest, I actually don't know if I'm going to make it. Also, I'm skipping all the parts where he talks about, like, private parts and being anally probed, touching yourself, being touched, etc. And it's, like, a surprisingly high percentage that I've had to skip thus far. I mean, make no mistake, you are missing some really heavy-hitting questions, like...
How do you touch and not be gay?
I'm sorry that I'm not including the full hour of that. I know you all just are dying to hear that for an hour.
I get why young people want to be woke, but I can't do it because I come from a different era. And when I was a boy, you could be Hitler for Halloween.
Oh, that's not okay. The thing about wanting to be woke, or I guess this implication that young people are just so woke, have y'all ever stopped to consider that that's more of a you thing than a me thing? Like, the only time I get called woke is when I am perceived by somebody who is anti-woke. You have created this label, put me in this box, and then reacted to me as if this is what I decided I was. I actually don't want to be woke or care about the label. I don't think it means anything at all. The things that I believe that have been labeled woke, like, let's see, healthcare is a basic human right. Any adult should be able to enter a consensual relationship with any other adult. Everyone has pronouns that make them comfortable, including cis people. And so everyone should be afforded the same basic right to be referred to in a way that validates them. All of my opinions are stemming from I just want everybody to have the same rights. And then other people twist it into, you want trans people, women, and people of color to rule the world. My opinions are the same regardless of what anybody else calls them. Nobody is out here wanting to be woke. I believe most of us just want to treat people in a way that is not horrible. But it's like, to say that would be to acknowledge that it's not wrong. And so that's why people have to call it woke, right? If I say, I believe everyone should have the same rights no matter what your gender is, most people in their right mind are not going to say, no, that's wrong. Now, make no mistake, many people will say that, but not most of them. However, if instead of saying that's wrong, someone can just say, you don't actually believe that, and you're a grifter, just a liberal shill, you're woke, for lack of a better term. That's how they get away with denigrating you for believing that everybody should have the same rights regardless of their gender, etc. It's the same thing with DEI. I noticed that one popping up a lot, where if you actually spell it out and then you say it's bad, you're gonna sound crazy. If you're like, I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is bad. Society is at least at a point where you're gonna get a bombastic side eye from most people in a room. However, rolling it all together and just the phrase DEI, that can be as bad as you want it to be because you've stripped it of its actual meaning. DEI is bad. They're shoving it everywhere. DEI this, DEI that. Why'd they put it in my video game? Why are they putting it in the water, turning the frogs gay? Like, really? When you think about it, you are complaining about the fact that people different from you exist. Complaining about wokeness is complaining about the fact that people who are disenfranchised now have more of a platform to speak up about it. And so that's why I don't even buy into this whole culture war nonsense that's going on. I don't care what anybody thinks about my opinion or the label that they're applying to it. You're woke? Okay, I guess I'm woke. You've decided this? Great. DEI, is that going to result in a more level playing field for all people? Sign me up. I'm a DEI fan. The label means literally nothing to me. It's so funny watching people like Joe Rogan, or unfortunately, even many people my age, think that they're really like owning the libs by calling them woke and DEI and stuff. I'm just at this point like, okay, and You know what? Now what? Where do we go from here? This is all you, Joe. This problem where you can't dress up as Hitler and you're mad about it. This is not something that young people have done to you, okay? Also, dear God, what an example. Like, Hitler, my guy?
You can show me your Jewish friend's house. I'm like, oh, look at the little Fuhrer. Give it a little tussle of your hair.
Bro, that is crazy. That is crazy. You didn't have anybody pull you to the side and say, Joe, that right there, I know what you were going for, but the way it sounds, the optics of that are crazy. But no, let's be clear. He's purposely putting out these optics. He wants to appear this way because he is appealing to that crowd. Part of the success with people like Joe Rogan lies in how non-offensive they are to actual racists. I don't actually think it's super helpful to spend time trying to figure out whether people like Joe Rogan are problematic or like what their true beliefs are. When you're out here platforming people who do have these views and you're creating a community in which people who have these views feel way too comfortable congregating, I really feel like intention ceases to be a relevant piece of information. And the results of your actions are what should be criticized regardless. I don't know if Joe Rogan likes Hitler, but why foster an environment where people who do aren't really going to feel called out by the work that you're putting forward? That is wild.
We believe that healthcare is a basic human right. I agree. We think that education should be free. Me too. And men can get pregnant.
They can, you know, it happens. I will never understand this visceral reaction. It is so easy to wrap your head around how a man could get pregnant. You were born in a specific body, but you're a man. If pregnancy is one of the capabilities of your body and also something you choose to explore, a man got pregnant. Like, where is this crazy disconnect that they're trying to force so hard? You want to talk about people forcing things? Why do people like Joe Rogan try to force us to pretend like this doesn't make sense? When will people like this just admit it is so much easier to just be woke according to their definition? That's the gag that really sends me. Like, it takes me out when I think about how much easier it is to respect someone's pronouns. I don't have to guess. Oh my, thank God. You're neither a man nor a woman and you use they them pronouns, the exact same pronouns I use to refer to people when I don't know whether they're a man or a woman. You see that person over there in the water? Are they drowning? Like, I just take that same convention and apply it to you. So easy. But also, I'm really concerned. I think that person over there is drowning.
Listen, if you're a heterosexual man, and I know there's a few of us left.
Y'all cheered for that? Bro, there has to be repercussions. Honestly, the people in that audience need to be fined. You've got the same people who are raging at black women and claiming they're ruining TV shows by existing in them. And many of these very same people are out here laughing at, did you just assume my gender and straight men exist? Who, pray tell, do you think is actually ruining entertainment? Burn the Boats is a real stunning and brave title for a man who has to know that this comedy special is a trash fire.
I'm willing to say men get pregnant. I'm willing to say pregnant men. I just don't think it's a good, I think you need extra words.
Why? Actually, like, you are admitting that you are trying to complicate this? Zoom out for a second and realize that you are advocating for the complexity of a concept that is quite simple, while simultaneously complaining about how complex everything got and how things used to be simpler when you used to be able to dress up as Hitler for Halloween.
I believe in trans people because I think the world is strange and nature is strange, and I think nature can throw you a curveball and you believe you're in the wrong body, and I fully support your right as an adult to do whatever you want that makes you happy.
The funniest thing is that used to be my opinion word for word. Like, if you stopped me on the street several years ago and asked me about trans people, I would have said every single talking point he just did. And I thought that was acceptance. I thought, like, saying, oh, I guess some people can be different, good for them or whatever, do whatever you want. But then my opinion took a turn over the years, and I went from caring a lot about nature and science and the mechanics behind being trans, that way I could justify understanding it, to somewhere over here where my opinion is like, no one actually owes me an explanation for who they are. I'm not actually owed science or a reason. I don't have to study nature to understand why trans people are. When it comes to something like someone else's identity, where it is extremely serious for them and the easiest thing in the world for me to respect it, I think the only thing I need to understand is how to be respectful. So at this point, I'll just look for someone's pronouns. I go to someone's profile, profile and it says he, him, I don't need to go through the rest of his profile trying to figure out, well, how can this person be he, him? What's the nature behind it? You know what I mean? What does it mean? Were you born in the wrong body? Respectfully, I don't care. And then I can take that same approach and just apply it to my opinions about gender affirming care. If someone is telling you what they need and it can be provided to them, why am I adding in the extra steps, the extra words, the complexity? You know what I mean?
Do whatever you want that makes you happy. I believe in freedom and I believe in love. But I also believe in crazy people.
I understand that there can be a room full of people laughing at this because they don't understand how unfunny it can be when somebody takes your entire identity and just reduces it to crazy. But man, it's not funny. And I'm gonna be honest, bro, I don't even know if I want to watch the rest of this. Like, we're only at 30% of the way into it, and I'm just like, oh man. But who knows? Maybe it will get funnier, and then I will laugh.
Trans women are women. How about most? How about almost all? You gotta leave room for crazy.
So I've been trying to practice lately, just moving on when I realize that something is providing no value whatsoever. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip, I think, all of Joe Rowe's remaining opinions about trans people. Let's see what other stunning and brave topics he has for us today.
He was way crazier if he were.
Okay, let's see what we've got now.
There's a dude in a dress. So,
oh my God.
I love it when Trump would say China. The craziest thing is they make our phones.
Bro, I was like, this is going to be such a good video topic. I was so proud of myself for sitting down to react to this. I knew it was going to be entertaining, but wow, I really forgot how painful this was.
We can't make a phone. There's 330 million Americans plus Mexicans, and no one can make a phone.
Okay. I know the phrase losing brain cells is overused, but I am genuinely running out of responses to this in real time. Bro, you are xenophobic, transphobic, racist, and you're on Netflix doing the hee and the ha complaining about woke people. I know some people are gonna be so mad, like, oh, you're calling Joe Rogan. Shh. Calm down. Because the crazy thing is, like, you know I'm right. I know I'm right. And you know I'm right. You're like insecure in your bigotry. So for example, you're going to call out Mexicans as not being American, but then he flips it into a joke where he's like, oh, but you know, if they came across the border, they must be really hard workers. So I'm fine with them.
I'll trade him for everybody who has blue hair. You, go back.
And it's like you were desperately trying to eat your cake and have it too. Have your cake and eat it too. You're desperately trying to be a cake girly, but you will never be a cake girly. You thought you ate, but the cake wasn't even in the room with us.
Let's make America great again. Oh, this is the silliest show ever. I love it.
It just really must be nice that things like this can be silly. You know what I mean? Like things like this can actually just be like, not a big deal.
I genuinely think most people are good people. And I think if you approach them with good intentions, I think if I lived your life, I would be you. And I think if you lived my life, you would be me. I think we're all one.
But you don't. You know, he doesn't think that. You can just hear it like dripping in every little jab towards everybody who is not him. And when the basis of your comedy is the fact that other people are different, that really proves how you are not really there as you claim to be. But I'm past the halfway point. I'm watching on 2x speed. We're going to make it with this one. There's like sirens in the background right now. I hope you can't hear them, but they're for Joe Rogan's comedy career. Oh, they just stopped. Because it was dead on arrival.
I'm not even remotely homophobic. I'm the opposite. I wish I was gay. It looks way easier. You're hanging out with only guys. No one can get pregnant. No more lies.
Okay, first of all, since when do gay men only hang out with guys? Do you only hang out with women because you're attracted to them? Or I'm framing it as a rhetorical question because I already know the answer. Secondly, see how any pretend support for any one group is like rooted in some sort of putting down of another group. Oh, but we're all one, right? We're all one. Like if I lived your life, you'd live my life. If I lived your life, I wouldn't be in your position. Okay, let's just make that clear. If I lived Joe Rogan's life, I wouldn't be known as the guy who spreads all the misinformation. The guy who can't ever really commit to being a bad person because he doesn't even have that much of a backbone. I would never allow Joe Rogan to happen to me, even if I was Joe Rogan.
There are people in the world that hate gay men, but nobody hates gay women, and that's why you could say,
I hate this. I think that's the best way I can say this. I genuinely hate sitting here and watching this. This has turned into an official hate watch. You want to post rage bait on Netflix? Congrats. But it's like, I'm not outraged so much as just confused. How is this being hyped up in any way, shape, or form when it is so terminally unfunny. It's not even just me either. Like, there are multiple times in this special where Joe has to laugh because the audience is not buying it.
Look at the suspension.
You're bombing. You're bombing on Netflix. That is crazy. You genuinely flopped in front of a live studio audience. The level of mediocrity that has enabled Joe Rogan to exist and persist needs to be studied.
I hate dumb people that are confident, you know?
Self-hatred, rough.
Also wrong. I hate dumb people that are wrong and confident.
I refuse to believe you can say that with a straight face and think you're referring to anyone other than yourself. His audience be like, oh, but he calls himself dumb. He says he's not an authority. He's not a... Listen, you don't get to opt out of the responsibility of having an audience just because you wish to continue being dumb. If I spread misinformation in this video and I'm like, Joe Rogan was responsible for the forest fires in California. Are there forests in California? But if I was to say so much as there are forests in California and secretly Cali has no trees, I don't then get to later say, well, I was just talking. Like, it wasn't that serious. I'm not an expert. What do I look like, an arborologist? Arborist. Okay. Wait, that kind of sounds like a crime. They got your man on charges for arbory. But no, imagine if that's what I was doing if I had one of the largest platforms that the internet has ever known. Cringe!
Mike tricked me into sucking his dick again. What is going on? Are you gay? No. Mike is just really tricky. They're gonna say that that's a homophobic joke. And I'm gonna say how, because the gay guy wins.
It's brain cell phobic. Do you understand? It's offensive to the part of my brain that processes information logically.
They wanna tell you can't make jokes about it. I'm like, listen, folks, if you want equal love, you have to have equal jokes. Because that's how we find out if you're annoying.
Said the most annoying man to ever live. Chat, should I book an extra therapy session just for having watched this? Should I bump up that weekly frequency? Well, with today's sponsor, BetterHelp. Nope, just kidding.
Listen, I don't hate anybody. I love everyone. And I love gay men. But I think about gay men the same way I think about mountain lions. I'm happy they're real, but I don't want to be surrounded by them.
Why are you thinking about gay men at all, though? Is what I kind of wonder with people like this. Like, people who are obsessed. Gay people, trans people, the details of which they are having relationships with each other and what they look like without all this really weird stuff to wonder about other people. I really think people like this just need to work some things out within themselves. By the way, not implying that Joe Rogan is gay or trans or whatever. I don't actually believe that at all. I don't think it's really helpful to say every homophobe is secretly gay, but you need to work out the part of yourself that doesn't see this as weird. Right? Because that's the part that I think is really unbalanced and totally out of whack. Why do you have so many opinions about what other people are doing with each other? That's bizarre. Something is not being acknowledged, addressed, or worked out. So do the math, please. Also, I don't know why I've been holding this USB to USB-C adapter this whole time, but it's like my other senses are trying to make up for the fact that I'm filling my vision and hearing with absolute nonsense. I need to feel something real.
I have my most up thoughts when I'm talking to really smart people. I'm friends with Elon Musk.
Elon Musk stands and Joe Rogan fans. Comic Sans versus Papyrus. Pick your poison.
I found out I'm 1.6% African in my DNA. I don't know what percentage African you have to be where you can freely say the N-word.
But I'm sure you think about it a lot. You want to ask Elon Musk to help you with those calculations? Because I think he's arriving at an answer very quickly.
Somebody made a compilation of every time I ever said that word over the last 15 years, and they made a YouTube video. I put my cursor over the video. I'm like, 4 more minutes.
Oh, you just like me for real. Me having this final ending time up is the only way I've been able to get through this. Think about it. For every minute that passes, you're 1 minute closer to never having to watch this again until I edit it. Oh, man.
Here's the thing about these words. You can't say them, but I think that's unfortunate. Because I think words are just supposed to be a sound that you make so I know what you're thinking.
It's unfortunate that you can't say the N-word. It's unfortunate that you can't dress up as Hitler anymore. Guys, I want to be racist so bad, and it's getting so much more difficult because now when I'm racist, people call me racist.
I think you should have to pay money to use the most offensive words, and then that money goes to cancer research. Every time you renew your car registration, you could buy 5 tags.
Are y'all keeping a list of like the offensive things he must have made a list beforehand?
You'll say the R word, but you won't say the N word? Yeah! Because I'm more afraid of black people than I am
It's almost like he came to ChatGPT and he was like, hey, I'm completely washed, but I have a stand-up special due tomorrow. Can you give me a list of every word I should use to just piss off the maximum amount of people? And then ChatGPT is going to be like, no, that's not really what our service is for. And then he's like, okay, can you give me a list of all the words I should avoid so as not to offend anybody? And ChatGPT is like, oh, say less. Say the R slur.
Yeah, don't you know how jokes work?
There, I laughed. I actually laughed. Not because what he said was funny. It's just like clockwork. You could not go an hour without saying slurs. 59 minutes and 17 seconds and your brain was just like, it's been too long. I'm a man with a microphone. People are paying attention to me. I've just got to let them loose. It's my moral obligation as a straight man to use the F slur right now or I will die. That is funnier than anything Joe Rogan could have come up with. Joe Rogan's existence is funnier than anything he can actually come up with. And I really think that that's the biggest demon that's beating him up all the time.
San Antonio, I love you to death. Thank you very much. This is a lot of fun. We did it.
We did it indeed. Written and performed by Joe Rogan. It's so funny how when I was younger, I used to want to be on Netflix so badly. I was like, I like making things that people watch and people watch things on Netflix and Netflix has validity. It occupied like that perfect little space between traditional media and internet. But it's so funny realizing the prestige I attach to traditional media is absolutely meaningless when you've got bozos like this dropping entire comedy specials. Call it cope, but I don't think Netflix has any more validity than YouTube at this point. But yeah, I laughed one time. So I think as far as comedy specials go, that's a bit of a failure. But that's my take on the situation. Dave's take on the situation is that even he has told more funny jokes in his lifetime than Joe Rogan, and he has never spoken a word. I think if Dave were to do a comedy special, it would be a bit of a bust. Okay, look, at least I'm not on Netflix pretending like I'm a comedian, and I'm excited to hear your take on the situation. I mean, this is the part of the video where a layman would ask you to subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment, but I will ask you to enroll, evaluate the video, and submit your feedback. Because I am, of course, running a 100% completely, totally, all the way, somewhat slightly, maybe not really unaccredited university. Probably. Just ask anybody in the student body and they'll confirm it for you. We're totally legit. And as for me, whether you'll see me in 24 hours or 24 months is honestly anyone's guess. But until then, thanks for watching. Your homework for today is to find something funnier than Joe Rogan and watch that. I suggest paint drying, grass growing, or maybe literally anything else.